Hello and welcome to another IT portal training video. In this video, we're going to cover network interfaces, switch ports, and trunk ports within the portal. Generally with a device like a firewall, a server, or maybe a printer, right, some network equipment, you want to define your network interfaces. Generally, you want to add an IP address. You want to specify the IP network. So when you go to viewpoints, IP networks, you can see all the devices in that subnet. We get the subnet mask automatically from IP networks. Ideally, you want to add a description, right? Like the VLAN information in here maybe. If you have the MAC address, it's nice to have it in here so you can search for those within the portal using the search bar. And if possible, if you've defined your switch ports, which I'll go into in a minute, you want to define what switch port a device is attached to. I'm going to edit this device just to show you how you would add one. So you basically go to network interfaces and you can add your IP address, specify your IP network, right? Add the description, MAC address, and particular switch port if needed. Now looking at this particular firewall, we see it's connected to this HP switch 2 on port 3 here and on port 5 here. I'm going to click on this so it'll take me to that switch. And here on this particular switch, we see we've got some trunk ports defined, which I'll show you how to edit those in a second. And we also have some switch ports defined. Generally with switch ports, you want to define the name. You may want to provide some stacking information and descriptions. And you want to specify a port range, so like 1 through 24. And in this view, you can actually see all the devices that are attached to it. So for example, the ASA that we saw before on port 3 and 5 are listed here, and you get some additional information about that as well. Now if I go to edit this, you'll see that you can specify your switch ports here. Ideally, if you have trunks enabled, right, you want to allow multiple devices per port, because otherwise, if for example, let's say this port here, if I edit it here and I decide to assign it to a particular device, and then I go into the device itself, like let's say the ASA, and I assign it that same port number, generally if you don't have this checked, then it will not add both devices, right? So again, we allow you to specify the switch port that's being used either through here, right? So if I look for that HP, this is switch port 2. Right. For example, switch port 1, I can specify it here. And then I can also specify one device here. So, but again, if you have multiple devices, you would want to edit each device and tell it to connect to the same port if that's like a trunk port or something, right? So again, you can edit them here if you needed to. Going to the trunk port section, we still have it under network interfaces. We'll probably rename this to networking at one point. But you basically provide a description of that trunk port and then specify the port number that it plugs into. As you see here, and then you can click add. So again, that's the general gist of network interfaces, trunk ports, and switch ports. And just to recap, ideally you want to make sure that you allow multiple devices if you want multiple devices to connect to an individual port. And that's about it. Thank you.